Hi, so I haven't made a video in a while. I know this is totally spur of the moment. I have no script for this, but um, I wanted to kind of discuss the state of the game since we're at the last week before Season 12. Trailer just came out yesterday and had a lot to show, as well as kind of the dev blog behind that. And I'd kind of like to go over, first off, this past season, just to kind of reflect on it, give my own take, um, and then kind of look forward to season 12 and kind of say why I'm concerned about season 12, because I am concerned. I'm very concerned about how season 12 is going to go. Um, and that doesn't mean like I'm going to be super negative. I'm going to be bashing on season 12 or anything like that. I want it to have more of a hopeful look. I have concerns, and I think a lot of people have concerns that have already begun to pop up the moment the trailer came out. But before we even get into Season 12, I want to talk about Season 11 first, and I kind of have the blog here so we can kind of go through it. Um, say a lot, that's going to be so bad. Sorry. So, first off, I want to go through the positives first, because there was actually quite a few positives with this season. I wouldn't say it was my favorite season. In fact, I would say it's probably in the lower half of Overwatch 2's seasons, and that it's not even close. There have been seasons far, 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 far better than what we got this season. That doesn't mean it was all bad. So first off, actually, while I'm scrolling over this, I think Pink Mercy was great. I know there were some people, and by some I mean very, very few people, but there were some people who really didn't like Pink Mercy returning, and then the Rose Gold, because of the fact that it like removed rarity of skins and blah blah blah. I think it's great because not only can we have this collaboration with an actually good cause, and from what I remember, I think there was a lot of people that actually ended up getting the skin, so it was actually a really, really massive effort, really cool on the community's part, and also on the dev's part for being able to actually make the collaboration happen again. But overall, I think the skin was really good. And I'm going to try to stray away from talking about skins a lot, because I think that one of the biggest concerns I have is that Overwatch, as it stands, has a very strong focus on skins determining if a season is good, when that's not what we should be doing. I digress, though. I think the skin was great. I think the collaboration was great. I really hope that we get more collaborations like these instead of collaborations with just generic name brands. Like, I'm sorry, the Transformers collab was awful. I'm just going to be upfront with you. I think that the only good skin in that was Optimus Prime. I think they knew that the only good skin was going to be Optimus Prime, and it really shows. And I don't want collaborations like that if that's the quality we're going to get. I would rather have something like Pink Mercy where it's a smaller collab, but everything about that bundle is fantastic, and it's going to a good cause. That's my take, though. I obviously, if there's collaborations with really cool name brands, awesome. But I want those collaborations to have the same level of quality that other collaborations, such as this Pink Mercy skin and the Rose Gold skin, got. Anyways, though, I think that it was great that we got this. Next thing that I wanted to talk about, and I don't know if it's here. Here we go. Runasapi. I think Runasapi is actually one of the strongest points of the season, and just as a whole, what they did with Push, I think they learned a lot with Push, and while I do think some of these changes, like the Coliseo change, should have happened way sooner, like season 7, 8, sooner, way sooner than what we got it. I am glad that they're actually starting to make the changes to maps, actually update the maps, make them better, and it really shows. I think the Coliseo games I've had in Season 11 have been infinitely better than anything I got the past 10 seasons in that, and really any push game mode. I'm a big advocate of push being overhated. I do think it's probably the weakest game mode by far. Uh, Actually, no, second. I think Flashpoint's worse. But I do think they learned a lot, and with these updates especially, I think it really solidified the fact that they are learning and they are updating the game in terms of map design, they're starting to learn, because Runasapi is easily the best push map. One of the biggest complaints I had when it came to push in the early stages is there are moments where it feels like you're out of any sort of gameplay for up to 30 seconds to a whole minute at times. So to finally have a map that really gets rid of that, because there is so many ways to move around, the map feels like really nice and open. There's no like, there are, I would say, choke points, but they're nowhere near as egregious as some other maps, and they're kind of areas that are really hard to get through. Like, one that comes to mind immediately for me is Esperanza, when you're trying to get through that initial bridge. I don't know what it is, but almost every game I get, it is a painstaking chore to get through that. So this map really has no moment that feels like a chore, and more just like this flowing combat that I think just every push map should strive to be. And I think Colosseo, with its updates, it's starting to get there. I still think there's a couple things that could be improved with Colosseo, but I think they did really good learning from the mistakes of previous push maps and making Runesapi, because it is phenomenal. I actually really enjoy push whenever I get Runesapi more than any other push map. So I think that was another massive W for this season, and I really hope that going down the line, like season 12, we're getting Clash. I really hope that they learned from, like, I don't want to say the complaints, but like what people wanted out of Clash. I really hope they learned from that and potentially tweak some things to make Clash the best it can be, but we'll see when we get there. And then one more thing, again, I don't think it's going to be on this blog post, but Juno. We got the playtest for Juno about halfway through the season, and unfortunately I didn't get much time with her just because of external events, so it was kind of hard for me to gauge how, you know, strong or weak or anything like that Juno is, so take my take with a grain of salt. But in terms of just overall enjoyment, I think she was phenomenal. I'm glad that she wasn't on the insanely strong side of support, because obviously support as it stands is in a pretty good spot. I would still say, like, characters are still very capable of handling themselves, which, I mean, as in a 5v5 format, when they're really focusing on individual performance, I think that's great. I think support is actually in a perfect spot right now, outside of like a couple key characters, which I'm not going to get into in this video. But I do think that support's in a good spot, and I'm glad to see that Juno is kind of just fitting right in. You know, like, she's got great maneuverability and movement overall. I actually like the fact that she's not super fluid. I know a lot of people, that was like one of the main complaints, was that her movement feels really janky instead of being nice and fluid. I like the fact that she's different. I like the fact that you have to understand her differently in terms of mechanical skill compared to someone like Echo or anything like that, you know. So I actually like that, but that's just me. I think Juno is phenomenal. I honestly hope they don't change her very much. Like, the only thing I would maybe like to see changed is a visual indicator that you're in the ultimate range and that you're being affected by that ultimate, and maybe a change to speed ring, but I would say that's it. Like, I don't want anything else to be tweaked with Juno. I think she was implemented in the game really well. So again, massive W for making a actually fun character for the support role, and one with a very similar, like, I don't want to say like emphasis on movement, but I think the way she plays just feels so fluid, so fun. This really nice transition back and forth between like damaging and healing and going off on your own. Like, she kind of, I don't want to say she feels like Lucio 2.0, because she really isn't, but in some key aspects in terms of how you play and that fluidity, I really feel like she's going to be the next Lucio in terms of like mechanical and high skill enjoyment. So I was really happy about that. Now, unfortunately, this kind of where my positives end with season 11, and that's when I want to get into some of the concerns that this season brought, because I do have quite a few. So first one that immediately came to mind was Battle Pass. I think this Battle Pass was atrocious. So I was thinking about it yesterday, and I was just like, why couldn't this Battle Pass theme, this idea of like Ultra Watch, why couldn't this just be a 1 week deal in the shop? Honestly, I think that making an entire season around this theme when there's already characters that have skins like these, namely Genji, and I think there was a very heavy emphasis on Genji as well. But not only that, but also just like how many characters look so similar in their design and all that jazz. Like Sojourn and Reaper and their skins just look so similar to me. I don't know, like the color scheme is the exact same. The like little head helmet, whatever the heck it is, there were so many similar. Like I literally just was like, why couldn't this just be like a shop's, like, you know how they do those shop themes on occasion, like what they did with like the lifeguard bundle, right, where they had like a whole week or two dedicated to the lifeguard summer themes. Why couldn't they just do that and pick something more interesting? I didn't like this battle pass at all. I think there's also, and this is one of my first like major concerns going into season 12, is there was so much bloat in the battle pass that I had no enjoyment going through this battle pass compared to previous seasons. Like previous seasons, a lot of the skins are actually interesting. They had, like, they were all unique to one another. All the voice lines just felt like they were unique and there was effort put into them and they were cool. And like even the little things, you know, the things that 90% of players don't care about, they were at least interesting for the moment I got them. You know, give you that little dopamine boost. And I genuinely think that this season just failed in every regard to do that. So, and it's just for so many reasons. Like, one of the biggest ones as well is recolors. I know this was like a huge deal at the beginning of the season, and I still think it's something that should be brought up going into season 12. There were 2 reskins. Technically 3 if you count Genji, so there were 3 reskins in one battle pass. So technically, there were only like 5-ish skins, 4 to 5, that were actually unique to this season. Otherwise, you were just getting a glorified Genji reskin, a basically copy-paste Lucio reskin, and an even worse copy-paste Junkrat reskin. And then, like, why? Honestly, why? Like, I don't understand why we're putting reskins in the battle pass now. Nobody wants to go for that. Nobody wants to go for that. And what's even worse is when you have things like victory poses and emotes being like the same thing, literally identical. And this is something they've been doing for a while now, so it's not like as big of a complaint to me, but it's just like, it's very obvious that they didn't have enough for this theme to make something happen. They just didn't. They didn't have enough. And it shows very clearly. The fact that there's just so many reskins and so many reused assets just slightly tweaked to be a victory pose instead of an emote is absurd. It's literally absurd in so many ways. And what's even funnier is I don't see anybody using anything from this season. I haven't seen the emote once, I haven't seen the victory pose once, I haven't seen... Actually, I've seen the skins like maybe 3 times, and all of them were just either the Reaper one or the Genji one. It's sad. It's really sad. Like, the only thing that I can think of that I actually like wanted to grind for was the Mauga skin. That's it. Everything else to me was just a giant nothing burger. Because that's what this battle pass was. It was just a giant nothing burger. There was no point in getting anything, but here we are. So, I'm optimistic about next season because next season is the Egyptian mythology season, it looks like. So, which is fine because it's called Venture, or not Venture Forward, what is it called? New Frontiers or whatever. So obviously it was supposed to be something with space, but then they ended up going, it's so weird. But anyways, it looks like we're getting a mix between Egyptian mythology and like space. So glad to see that there's actually at least something for this theme coming up. And we also have seen the skins, they look really good. Hopefully in the next few days we also see the battle pass early, because obviously like all the streamers get it early, so hopefully we can see what that looks like. I'm still concerned though, because I am very concerned if it's just going to be more bloat again. So it doesn't look like it. I only saw like one real recolor to my knowledge. And I don't even know if it's a recolor, it just might be total copium. But we'll see. We'll see how the next season brings. But that was my biggest concern with the Battle Pass, is just I don't know who decides the themes and who decides like what content's gonna be going in the Battle Pass, but this Battle Pass should not have lasted this long. This was a theme that could not hold on its own. And I really hope they learned that with this season. It was just, there was no way this was going to hold up on its own. So, with that being said, a few other things I want to talk about, and I'm going to try and talk about these a little bit quicker. Because I also don't think they're even on here. But, first off, just going to go through this one real quick. Summer Games was total trash. They literally just rehashed what they did last year. I don't think they changed anything besides like what you earned. I can't even remember what you earned because it was so mediocre. So yeah, I was hoping for at least something new, something interesting. Nope. So total nothing burger of a Summer Games event, which is unfortunate because in exchange all we get is $50 lifeguard bundles. So that's great. And actually, speaking of that lifeguard bundle, I also want to bring that up because it's even further into the recolor issue. For $50, 40% of what you're getting is just another recolor, and the recolors are total trash. I'm sorry, the Pharah and the Mercy skin looked awful. And 20 of my $50 are now going to those, technically, because 40%, right? So I'm basically spending $50 when I only want $30 of what I'm getting. So that was really unfortunate. But again, Blizzard practices be Blizzard practices. I don't think anyone's surprised at this point. It's just really unfortunate to see yet another example of egregious recolors that don't even look good. Like, if you're gonna make recolors, at least make them look good, and don't lock them behind $50 bundles, you know. But I digress. Another one that I want to quickly go over is the new tank patch that came out during the mid-season. I think everyone's pretty aware of how interesting it was. I do think it made tank more interesting to play. I think it was pretty engaging. I can feel the difference where I don't blow up in 2 seconds, especially playing characters like Reinhardt or Ramatra. I don't just instantly blow up when I try to get in close, which is nice. The problem is, though, it still feels pretty unengaging. And I don't want to blame it on 5v5 or 6v6. I don't want to get into that conversation. I'm very neutral about that conversation. But I do think that the current way they're going about tank is not the way they should be taking, if that makes sense. So, the current way they're going about tank is just buff, buff, buff. Try to make them this overpowered raid boss that is very difficult to get around without, like, everyone focusing down tank. And it kind of just creates this problem where either you completely dominate over the match because no one's focusing you, they're trying to play the game as Overwatch should be played, or you just get targeted 24/7 and, you know, GG, right? So I thought that was really unfortunate, but here we are. So tank patch was, I think it just kind of showed that the Blizzard balance team, I don't want to say they don't know what they're doing. I think they have good intentions for the game. I just think that they're doing it in a very wrong way. So I'm hoping that with Season 12, because they have been talking about Season 12 with things like Reaper, with things like Lifeweaver, and I think they mentioned a couple other characters, so I do hope that in the future we are looking into how to fix tank better than just buff numbers. We'll kind of see. With that, and I actually glazed over one more thing, so I also want to quickly talk about this. Community crafted, I think, is something that should come back. I really hope they do bring it back, at least like maybe twice a year, just something. I completely forgot about it because it was like, you know, very beginning of the season. Community crafted was also a really good patch. Do I think everything should be in the game? No, and I think I already made a video about it, so I'm not going to talk about this very long. But I think Community Crafted was a very phenomenal game mode that really showed what characters should be. That doesn't go for every character, though. I think there was a clear difference between the people who were balancing the game to make the game healthy, and the character, like people who are balancing the game just to be total gooberts, right? Because, like, for example, the support changes were very clearly goofy, right? Like, Ana having exo boots, like, what? Okay, sure. Zenyatta flying into the air, okay, sure. But then you had, like, the tank changes, which were absolutely phenomenal, and also kind of showed, like, what tanking could be. Things like Reinhardt, you know, when, like, your shield breaks, you move faster. Huge change, right? Like, absolutely huge change. Something that, honestly, could potentially be in the game. Maybe not to the degree it was in the Community Crafted, but still, something to that degree. So there was definitely a clear difference between, like, who was balancing for what, but I think overall the changes were still great. It was a nice switch up, and it really shows how tanks could be better, right? Something outside of just tweaked here, tweaked there. Actually implementing gameplay mechanics that make them feel better. That's what we need. That's what we need. But anyways, I've already talked about Community Crafted a lot, so I'm gonna kind of just jump over the gun with that one. So yeah, overall thoughts, just, like, I think my biggest concerns going into Season 12 are going to be, how bloaty is the Battle Pass? Is it, again, like, just reusing everything, total recolor Haven, all that jazz? Or is it actually going to be what we've gotten before, where, like, skins are actually, like, in good spots, looking nice, all that? Voice lines are clearly, like, you know, filled with that effort and passion that the characters have, all that. But again, we're not going to really be able to see that until the next few days, so kind of screwed there. Another thing that I'm really going to be looking forward to is just, in general, the shop, how they go about that, how bundles are going to be. It sounds like we're getting a World of Warcraft collaboration is what's been going around. Hopefully that goes better than Transformers, because, oh my gosh, Transformers collab was so awful. I don't think I've seen anyone with the Yari skin or the Bastion skin, like, or sorry, I've seen Bastion skin once. No one with the Yari skin, no one with the Ramattra skin, like, it's just so bad, it's so bad. So I'm kind of hoping they learned, and that World of Warcraft will be at least better in terms of quality, so that every character who's in it at least has a little bit of love. Hopefully. But this is when I get into Season 12. Okay, so let's go ahead and tab over to Season 12. I'm not going to read through all this. There's plenty of other YouTubers that read through all this. You can read through this on your own time. I'm mostly just going to kind of glance over, talk about what I'm looking forward to. So first off, we're getting yet another mythic weapon skin. I'm a little concerned about that, but I'm going to keep my emotions reserved about that. So my biggest problem with what happened with the last mythic skin is that you had to pay the same amount as a full skin, a full mythic skin, the 80 prisms, for things that really just should be free, right? Things like the flourish, like, you seriously have to pay 10 prisms for a weapon flourish? Really? I think that is just incredibly stupid. Incredibly stupid on their part. Like, really? Like, I can go play Call of Duty and have a weapon flourish on all my weapons for any character for free. Why does a weapon flourish need to be locked behind a paywall? That's incredibly stupid. And then other things like, one of the other ones I can think of off the top of my head is the kill animation. I think that's the last thing you get, is the kill animation when you spend the full 80. Again, why? You're only paying for a weapon. Like, this whole weapon, all of those things should have just been in the base weapon, in my opinion. You're not paying for a full skin. Like, none of your abilities look different. None of your, skin looks different. None of that. So why are we having to pay to have, like, why are we paying full price for just a weapon? It really should Like, all of those things should have just come with it at the 50 mark. Again, that's just opinion based, but when I can go play a different game and have things like weapon flourishes and adaptive weapon camos and kill animations for free, I don't understand why we have to pay for them in Overwatch. That's just my opinion though. So we'll kind of see how they switch it up with Ana. I don't think they're going to switch it up, and that's why I'm concerned. We'll see. Again, Juno, great. Anubis Reaper, so I've been hearing a lot of complaints. And this is something I also want to get into a little bit. I've heard a lot of people complaining about Anubis Reaper. And it's not because of Reaper himself. It's because of the characters who should have gotten the skin. The primary one being Ramatra. A lot of people are arguing that Anubis should have gone to Ramatra and not Reaper. Do I have to agree to an extent? Yes. I do agree that and this is kind of my main concern with Season 12 as well. I think that I don't want to say the developers, but I think that Blizzard as a whole has really lost touch with what the community wants and what they've made in their own world of Overwatch. I think a lot of people agree that Ramatra being the Anubis skin was such a no-brainer, right? His ties to Anubis, obviously not Anubis as in the Egyptian god Anubis, but Anubis as in the AI that has been very carefully crafted as this antagonist to the Overwatch lore. It should have been a no-brainer. So the fact that they didn't pick Ramatra and instead went with Reaper is, I don't want to say concerning, but it was an interesting take, and I almost want to hear from the devs at some point. If there's any sort of interview, if anybody hears this that has any sort of connections with Blizzard, I would like to know why they chose that above Ramatra or any other character who could have gotten it. Why Reaper? Was it just because, like, why not? Was there a carefully crafted reason? I would like to know. Because as someone who's also into mythology as well, I love to study mythology, I've been doing it for years, I also think it was a very weird pick to have Reaper be chosen as Anubis when there were better characters in the mythology field that Reaper could have been put into or made a skin for. But again, also just looking at basic Overwatch lore, things that you don't really have to dig deep to understand, Ramatra should have been a pretty no-brainer pick. So I'm not too sure why they went with that, but again, whatever. I would just like to hear their thoughts on that. I'm not going to complain about it too much. I would just like to hear their thoughts on why they chose Reaper over any other character when it came to Egyptian mythology. But what I am going to complain about is something else, and that is the fact that the characters primarily focused on the Egyptian side of things got some of the crappiest skins, or skins that don't even fit. So, and I think they actually go into this, but I think it is baffling. It is actually just so baffling to me. Let me see if I can find it here. So, first off, Oni Ana. If you know anything about mythology, Onis are more associated with, like, Japanese mythology, or just, like, Eastern Asian mythology. But I mainly see it in Japanese mythology. So, I'm kind of confused why they did Oni Ana in an Egyptian mythology field, or theme. Because clearly Egyptian mythology is supposed to be the theme, not Juno's, like, space theme. So I'm very confused why Oni Ana is what they picked. Ana is, like, Ana and Farah are both, like, literally, again, just no-brainer picks for Egyptian-themed skins. How did we get to Oni Ana? And if you see the Farah skin in the trailer, it's somehow even worse. Like, and you can literally see it right there right? Bass Doomfist, Thoth Iari, Oniana. Like, what? You clearly did your research. You clearly see that there are Egyptian characters in here, and that's not to consider the Echo skin. I don't know, Asset Echo, Anubis Reaper. So clearly you did at least some basic knowledge research, and yet you completely overlooked the two characters literally tied into that geographical area. How is that possible? Like, I'm sorry, that is such a brain dead thing to do. Like, I can overlook Reaper a little bit because A, he looks badass. I love how he looks, but also it's just a mythic skin, and at the end of the day, like, I guess you can make an argument for Reaper looking the way he looks and getting that skin. But how do you overlook Ana and Farah so badly? I think that's what should be complained about more, is the fact that Ana and Farah are just totally overlooked. Totally overlooked. Like, if anything, Farah should have gotten something, maybe. Or, like, in terms of mythic skins. Or, at the very least, a legendary skin in the Battle Pass. Not Captain Sigma or Dorothy Ash. How did we mess up this badly? How did we mess up this badly? And how is there no conversation about that? All I'm seeing conversation for right now is Reaper, when we're totally overlooking everything else when it comes to Ana Farah. But whatever, you know, it's sad, but whatever. Looking at some of the other skins, there's also like the heist theme. I think we got Diva right there, and then we also have a soldier skin, and yay, yet another Kiri skin. I actually like the Kiri skin. I think it looks great. We'll see how it looks in game though, but you know, like, whatever. So I definitely think that at the very least, the developers have totally like lost touch with their world building, and it's showing. It's showing pretty badly. So I don't really know what we can do at this point. But there's just a couple moments that really make me go like, what are we doing? What are we doing? So, well, can't really do anything about that. Last thing I want to talk about though real quick is we are also getting the anniversary update. We're getting some old modes back. I know some people are complaining about that just because, like, some people are complaining that the modes shouldn't, especially April Fools, shouldn't be returning just because of the fact that they're supposed to be special game modes. I think that's total BS. I think the fact that we're getting game modes that were positively received should come back. Obviously, they shouldn't be coming back every other month, but like April Fools, it's been 4 months? And then obviously they're not going to bring it back until next April Fools. So I think it's really stupid that people are making these takes when it's an anniversary update, where they should show off the best of what they had the past year. Things like Mirror Watch, things like April Fools. I'm surprised they're not bringing back Community Crafted, honestly. Those should be back. I don't understand why people are complaining so much about that, because they were actually fun. But, so, again, I'm glad to bring that back, and I'm hoping that other things are coming back as well. Not focusing on skins. I hope they focus more on gameplay things, like, again, the new game modes. I really hope they just go full send on the new game modes. I really hope they do, because I'm tired of skins being such a prevalent thing and being like the #1 thing that Overwatch community cares about. I want the new game modes. I want the new game modes back, or the game modes to come back. I want the focus on the gameplay loop being fresh. Because at the end of the day, a skin is a skin. Like, who cares? Who cares? You know? It's a cosmetic thing. I would rather have us being focused on things like, you know, the format changes. Because they're talking about 66 again. I'm so glad that they started talking about that, because we're finally getting away from the talk on skins and shop, so that we can actually talk about the core fundamentals of the game that have been overlooked for a very, very long time. So thank God we're finally looking at that. But yeah, so overall, I know this is kind of an uninteresting video. I just wanted to get my concerns out there and to kind of talk about what I'm looking forward to in season 12. Looking forward to what I hope they change, and I'm hoping to start doing these at the end of every season so that I can just talk about, how the season went, my thoughts on it, how I'm looking forward to next season, because I am looking forward to season 12. I want to make that clear. I am looking forward to season 12. I do think season 12 is going to be a good season. I just hope that going forward, we learn as a community, and as I hope the developers also learn what season 11 did wrong, because season 11 did quite a bit wrong, and I hope they learn from that going into season 12. But we're not really going to be able to tell until next week. So yeah, um, yeah. Anyways, I got nothing else. So if you made it here, thanks for listening in to me ramble for over half an hour. Um, if you have any interests or something you want me to do, let me know. I'll try to do it. Um, but yeah, thanks for tuning in.